Hey there, drawing and painting kids. Hey, I'm going to show you some stuff that I think will be pretty useful to you as you draw. It's all about the natural arm movements when we're drawing. All right, let's jump in. First of all, this is a natural little drawing motion. I can do this all day long without even looking. Great. I've got control when I use just my fingers. Or that says fingers, by the way. Or this is also natural drawing motion. What's moving here? That's right. There's no movement at the fingers. It's all about the wrist. And then finally, there's one more natural drawing motion, and that is using your whole arm. And if you look, notice that my fingers and wrist aren't moving at all. Instead, it's all happening at the shoulder and elbow. So anytime you're doing, let me kind of go over the point of all this. Um, Anytime you're drawing, it should feel comfortable. It should feel natural. So if you start drawing and you're not doing one of these three motions, then you should change your angle. For example, let's say that I'm drawing an eyeball. So notice this kind of corresponds with my natural wrist motion. Cool. When I get to the bottom, this is like a little awkward. Here, see, this isn't one of my motions. Here I'm like pushing the pencil and I just have less control there. So if I'm going to use my wrist for this part, I should rotate my sketchbook. And now, if we get to the other part, I'm still using my wrist. Yeah, does that make sense? So you always want to move your sketchbook so that you're drawing with a comfortable drawing motion. You just have more control that way. Similarly, if you try to draw something like a long line, well, we know that for long lines, we use our arm, or just our whole arm, no movement at the wrist and fingers, right? So similarly, if I try to draw a long line down here and I use my wrist, I have to kind of scooch it. Ugh, grody. Instead, for long lines, here's that scooching. I didn't realize off the camera, right? Ooh, you ever do that? Oof. So instead, use your whole arm for long lines. Now, this includes long lines that are curled up. So, for example, when you're sketching circles, use your whole arm. Notice my fingers aren't moving and my wrist isn't moving. Whole arm. Now, sure, when you want to go back in and tighten it up, then you can use your fingers and your wrist and that sort of stuff for those small lines. But when you're just doing the sketch, drawing one continuous line, use your whole arm. Now, a lot of times, a lot of people draw with their sketchbook kind of angled like this, kind of like angled to their. And the reason, at least my theory is, the reason that people do that is because when you draw with your sketchbook at an angle like this, then suddenly your natural hand motions, those natural drawing motions, are parallel to the side of the page and the edge of the page. But you got to be careful, because anytime you're trying to like draw like a vertical line, your sketchbook's angled, it's tough. Has this ever happened to you, where you like say you're sketching like a head and you think it's all going great and you're dropping down those vertical lines and everything looks good, you draw a horizontal line and you got your eye, and then you got your nose, and you got your mouth, and everything looks good, but then when you kind of turn it sideways, ooh, it turns out it's just a little bit. It's not actually like vertical. Everything is kind of shifted over a little bit this way. Yeah, that's because your sketchbook was angled. So even though I want you to angle your sketchbook so that you've got comfy lines, anytime you're drawing something that's vertical, you have to line up your sketchbook parallel to your shoulders and then use your whole arm to draw those vertical lines. That's a lot of information. Those aren't really vertical, are they? How ironic. There we go. So, similarly with horizontal lines, whole arm. All right, let's see here. Here's what I want you to try doing. Then I want